eater, and I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the gray sheet without exception. I don't eat in between my meals. I don't eat no matter what, and abstinence is the most important thing in my life. And by the grace of God and this program, my abstinence date is May 22nd, 1981, which means I'm like 61. Well, I'm not like 61. I am 61 years old, and got abstinent when I was 22 years old. And I need this program today as much as I needed it when I came in to Grey Sheet. So I'm really grateful to be here. I've never been on this meeting. I usually go, or for a really long time, I've been going on the Monday, it's like 11:30 Eastern Standard Time Zoom meeting. So thank you very much, Taisia, for asking me. It's really great to see everybody. Some of you, I recognize your faces, and some of you I don't, but it's great to see everybody here. So what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So my story is that I started an eating problem when I was probably about 11 or 12 years old, and then it got worse, and I gained weight, and I tried different things. And in the last 3 to 4 years of my eating, things accelerated incredibly. They just got so much worse for me as far as my complete inability to manage food and my life. And really my life was just all about eating and food and all that. And what happened is I was in OA for a couple of years, and I happened to go to an OA meeting that was in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which was not far from where I lived. And that was a Grey Sheet meeting. And that's when I started going to Grey Sheet meetings, and I got abstinent finally about 3 months later. And so I'm in my 39th year of abstinence, which may seem, anyway, it's a day at a time. So when I got abstinent, I was so desperate and also so relieved that I just had the solution, that I could just put the burden down of trying and trying and trying. I was not thinking, okay, so I'm going to be 30, I'm going to be 40, I'm going to have this happen in my life. I was just like, okay, get me through till the end of the day. I'll do anything I have to do. I'll go to any lengths. I'll follow all directions. Just to stay abstinent. So that's basically the outline. And things that I tried were, diets that other people were doing, diets that my mother might have tried. She was not a compulsive overeater. Magazine type of diets, Weight Watchers a couple of times. And the first time I tried it, it was worked really well for me, and I didn't have a whole lot of weight to lose, and I lost it, and then was able to use that program as a structure. I definitely was living in the belief that I just needed to find the right diet, and if I found the right diet, I would get thin, which was the most important thing to me. I just wanted to be thin and look good. And then later on, when my disease had regressed quite a bit when I was in college, I thought, okay, we'll just go back to Weight Watchers again. And again, it worked really well in that I lost all the weight, which is at that point was much more than I had to lose the first time. And I really thought that my problems were over. I really thought that this is it. I'm going to always be thin. I never, ever am going to let this happen again. I'm never going to get fat again. And very quickly I was back into the addict behavior. And I really don't pretty much remember that, like when it happened, and it was Thanksgiving, and I said, I'm just going to have a piece of that dessert thing. And so I was in the corner of the kitchen hiding from my family and eating a piece, and then leaving the room and going back with them, and then going back into the kitchen and taking another piece. And, as a compulsive overeater, I don't do things small around food. One bite is never enough for me. And when I was always trying that. I didn't understand why I couldn't just have one bite or one slice or one piece. How come other people could do that and take it and leave it alone? How come they could do that? I didn't know why I couldn't. And I always ate the whole thing and more and more and more and more. And I know today that if I were to make the decision that I didn't need this program, or maybe I didn't need to work it so hard, or, you know, maybe it was interfering with my life or whatever, all those things that come in and talk to me still, I would not be going for one slice. I'd be out there going for large amounts of sugars, grains, starches, and carbohydrates. There wouldn't be any dainty eating involved. And so what was I saying? So I was talking about Weight Watchers, and after that, after I, you know, was back into the food again, not understanding. So I'm at college with all these young women, and, you know, how come they can do this? How come they can do that? But someone introduced me to OA, and so I started going to those meetings, and that's where I got the information that I had, you know, that I was a compulsive overeater. And that diets didn't work. But unfortunately for me, OA didn't have, they had different food plans, and people didn't talk about food. And the focus on the meetings that I went to was not about abstinence. It was about whatever people happen to want to talk about. And so I didn't get what I needed there, although I certainly tried and I really wanted to. I did not know that what I needed was GreySheet. So I graduated from college at about 180 plus pounds. I'm 5'3", and now I weigh about 115, which is a normal weight. And I was in OA at that time. I was desperately unhappy, depressed. The whole clothes situation was, you know, part of my disease. The whole, I can't fit into anything. I'm not going to buy the bigger size. Wearing things that I basically couldn't breathe, and all of that. And so when I got into GreySheet, I was not at my top weight. I, at times, even during my worst eating, could go on periods of dieting, and so that I could take off a few pounds. It's just that I would always be waiting for the diet to end, and when it did end, or either because I couldn't do it anymore, or I lost a little bit of weight, I was inevitably right back where I started. So the diet didn't teach me anything. I didn't learn anything. I didn't know any new way of life from diets. So I got into GreySheet, not at my top weight, but, you know, at that point, it did not matter really what I weighed, because I remember that my life was full of mental obsession and physical craving, even though I didn't have the words to say that at the time or to understand that. And so I was in constant fear. I lived in constant fear that I was just going to keep on putting on weight. I mean, it was just going to keep on putting on weight. On the other hand, as much as I wanted more than anything to not do that, I could not stop myself from the same behavior over and over again of, I'm just going to have a little. If I just had one thing, it would make me feel better, and then I'll start my diet tomorrow. And, you know, even when I was in the GreySheet program and going to meetings every day, I still was living that way, with 4 or 5 days of trying to get abstinent, maybe being on the GreySheet for a little while, a few days, go into that terrible withdrawal, and then pick up the food. I can't stand this. I can't stand this. I have to eat. I have to eat. I'll feel better. And it's a lie. It was a lie. Every single time it's a lie. And I know when I finally got abstinent, I could really listen and understand what my problem was. Of course, self-knowledge avails me nothing, but at least I had the clarity of mind that I could start to understand once I listened to other people who had the same problem as me and were working the same solution. So the GreySheet, the wonderful GreySheet, I looked at it when I first came in and I go, oh my God, there's no food on this. 5 minutes, thank you. There's no food on this. I thought it's going to be deprivation, whatever. And but when I finally did get abstinent, I would have eaten anything. You tell me what to do, I'll eat it. I'll do exactly what you tell me to do. A little while after getting abstinent, I did learn how to make my food really delicious, and I certainly could never have done that myself. So the Gray Sheet food plan doesn't contain the foods I'm addicted to and allergic to. Physical and emotional and psychological addiction I have to food, and it limits my food. So I those 3 meals that are weighed and measured and without exception means I never have to be in a situation again where I'm living in fear, where I feel like I'm somehow in bondage because I ate too much, I ate too little. What if I this? What if I that? No questions anymore about my food and what I have to do about my food. And if I do make a mistake or something happens, I have a lot of people I can call and say, this is what happened. This went on the floor, this fell on the floor, or I got served such and such instead of that at a restaurant. And people tell me what to do, the other abstinent members. So those are 2 big reasons why it works, because it doesn't contain those foods I'm addicted to. And I weigh and measure my food without exception. And I was told that I could enjoy my food as much as I wanted to, and that I didn't have to deny the fact that I liked food, that I could really, really enjoy my food. And I can tell you I really do. I really, really do enjoy my food. I don't do a lot of I don't do recipes. I don't know, get ideas from other people. I eat pretty simply. But boy, I really enjoy that food once I sit down. And the blessing is that when it's done, it's done. That doesn't mean that I don't wish I could have a little more, but there's always another meal coming. So anyway, because I've been abstinent a day at a time, and that doesn't come without work. It doesn't come without work. So I pray and I ask for help every day for the willingness to do whatever I have to do to stay abstinent. This program has all the resources I need in order to stay abstinent if I avail myself of them. And I may not want to all the time, but I do go to meetings. I do about 3 meetings a week. I don't live near meetings, so I do Zoom and phone meetings. And I make phone calls, and I have sponsees, and I have a sponsor, and I do service in the program on different committees, and I'm really involved a lot with the Phone Bridge board of trustees. And so a lot of time every day, a certain amount of time every day goes towards basically keeping my disease at bay, basically keeping my disease at bay. And that's what I want to do every day. So I am very grateful for all of my life really being abstinent. I mean, most of it really now, my adult life certainly, and I've come a long way because of this program. Staying abstinent is my #1 priority. It's the most important thing in my life. And certainly I've had a good day if I've been abstinent. But staying abstinent, a lot of other problems have come up, and they still are coming up. It took me a long time to walk into that forest of problems, and so I'm, working the steps to get the better life that I want. But the most important thing I do, I never take my eyes off that ball. That's the most important thing, is the food. So I encourage everybody who is new or having trouble to just keep coming. Just follow directions. I figure I knew absolutely nothing about what to do with my food when I came in here, so none of my ideas worked. So I might as well follow the directions of somebody else who's got at least 90 days of back-to-back Gray Sheet abstinence. I eat only foods that are on the Gray Sheet, and it's a privilege to be abstinent. It really is. I'm very, very grateful. So whatever time I have left, I'll just say that I have 2 adult children. They both were born in abstinence. I got married in abstinence. I'm still married. Oh my God. I was in the same career for 35 years, and I retired about 3 years ago. There seems to be a grandchild on the horizon. I just have a really, really good life, and I could never do it myself. Thank you, God. in this program. So I'll end with that. Thank you very much. Thanks again.